evening. Why don't we keep it off? Or yeah, okay.
Didn't he, what did government do?
I think Sheridan put an email and do whatever they
I think they said you can take it off as soon as you arrive at a meeting.
All right, well, I'll see how I go. If I forget,
Well, I
just
can't.
remind me.
I can't see it.
Okay, so let me know when you're ready.
I'll read it this way.
Good evening, councillors. Good evening, Jodie. Good evening, members of the press. Welcome to the Planning Committee meeting of Tuesday, the 14th of December. Let's go straight to agenda item number 1, which is apologies for absence.
I have them there.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Buckley, we have from Councillor Buckley. No, okay, thank you. Let's move on then to number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any? Yes, Councillor Gabishak.
Sorry, yes, I don't need to, but I will. On plans new page. P21 S4986 is Byron's house, which is my neighbour's.
Okay.
So therefore, I won't speak. I will not vote or comment on that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gabishak. Okay, yes,
I've
Councillor
got
Roberts.
a non-pecuniary interest in on page 11, P21/S4715/full for Badmore Park Golf Club.
Yeah,
I'm a non-playing member at the moment. Probably is still a member there. But
okay,
that's non-pecuniary.
thank
So I'll
you.
just speak down to
Thank you. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 3, the minutes. This is to approve the minutes of the planning committee held on the 23rd of November. Do I have a proposal for acceptance? Councillor Gabishak and seconded Councillor Plant. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. And number 4 is public participation. We don't have anyone here present. Is there anyone online, Jodie?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to item number 5, which is plans amended on page 9, please. Okay, so we have P21 S4271 and it's reserved matters for Wydale Country Gardens. Jodie, did you want to speak to this at all?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out, we did recommend approval last time, but there's been since comments received from the drainage officer who has got objections to this application, and also the landscape officer and the forestry. They've got concerns about the impact on development on trees and the proposed layout and landscape proposals. So just to comment that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, any proposals? Councillor Gabishak?
I propose we reiterate our existing approval of this site, and we'll leave the rest of these to sort out the issues and the problems. So my proposal is for approval.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Plant, thank you. Any other observations, comments? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Observation is various access for the meet. Is the ones out.
Where it is
Where it is
now.
at the moment.
Yeah, where it is now. Does that help? Yeah. Any other comments?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
Councillor
was
Roberts.
just having listened to the panel, so I think we should show our concern with SOD's comments, especially on the drainage, not so much on landscape, especially what an officer may feel. But I think we should show a major concern about drainage, that all the water is kept on the site.
Yeah, okay.
I will accept that.
Okay, so that's a suggested amendment, which the proposer accepts and the seconder accepts. Okay, thank you. So would any other councillor like to speak? Sorry, I'm speaking with my. Did you hear? Yes, thank you.
This is the one where they said they had enough soakaway on site, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I'm just saying. They're saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's make sure it is.
Yes, sorry, Jodie.
Yeah, as I advised last time, it will also be dealt with under a discharge of condition anyway, so it will be considered at that point, but it's worth raising it as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would any other councillor like to speak who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, let's put this to the vote then. We've got a motion for approval. It's been seconded. All those in favour? Okay, thank you, that's carried. So we have a lady who just come in. Hello, welcome.
Hello,
Did you
take my masks? off
did
too?
you actually want to speak during public participation?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I live on the Fairmount. We lived in the same house for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's 2 big floors. My husband's on a similar frame. We can't cope with it. We would like to knock down 2 garages. Which haven't been used for cars.
Okay, let me just pause you for a moment because we had actually moved on in the agenda.
Oh, right.
So let me just consult with councillors that we're happy for you to speak. All right, is that okay with you, councillors? Okay, right, so that's fine. If you wouldn't mind just standing while you're
Yeah, of course.
speaking,
Yeah.
and you have 2 to 3 minutes, and if you could say your name, we'd be very grateful.
My name is Joan Bennett.
Hello.
I'm known to some of the people here. We've lived in the house for the same 40 years.
Yep.
As I say, my husband's on a similar frame. To knock down our 2 garages and build a granny annex, which will be friendly for him, is what we've put in the planning for. So I came along because I didn't want to hold it up, given the state it is, but if more questions were to come back, I thought, you know, if I just came in and if anybody had any questions, and we're not turning into professional developers or anything like that. We're too old.
Thank you. Let me just ask if councillors have any questions. Any questions, councillors? No?
The only
Yes,
thing I
that's
would
okay.
say is we are only an advisory council. So we will obviously comment on the plans when we get to the agenda item.
Okay.
But it's that we'll actually decide.
You did
Advise.
all of our children 30 or 40 years ago.
Did they turn out okay?
You have to know with us. Yeah, so if nobody's unhappy, then I'll just go home.
That's great.
Well, I will just sit down and wait for the decision because we haven't debated.
Oh,
it
okay.
All right, thank you very
yet.
much. Thank you.
You've only got to wait for 3, but it's not so. You're third in
A couple of minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so let's move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is plans new, and that's page 11, please. In fact, let's debate this one now. Should we vote to move this one forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it is, yeah, third one down. P21 S4723 is a householder application for cornerstones of the Fair Mile. Any proposals, councillors? Councillor Grant? Yeah, seconded, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Yes,
Yes,
briefly.
Councillor
Yeah, I know the property very well. I've canvassed down there many a year, and I'm surprised with the comments of the Henley Society actually. It's totally incorrect. Obviously, they've never been down there and see the position of what's being proposed. But you know, it's a corner plot of land, plenty of space there, and it's going to do absolutely no harm whatsoever to any neighbours anyway. So I fully support the application.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, let's put to the vote then. All those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried.
Thank you all so much. Even as an advisor. Thank you.
Yes.
Fine.
Cheers, James.
Have a happy Christmas. Right, let's go back to the first item on the agenda then, which is P21 S4605. It's a listed building application, Old Basket Makers 43 Gravel Hill. So I'll ask, as it's listed building, I'll ask Jodie to speak to this first.
Yes, so there's no heritage objection raised by the conservation officer. I have no objection to this.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Garrett, you have a proposal?
Proposal acceptance. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded by councillor Plant. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's unanimous. That's carried. The next is P21 S4715. It's a full application. So let's hear from Jodie first. Bashmore Park Patrol Club.
Thank you. So yeah, this is quite a significant net increase in causeways, but I do reference the pre-application advice that they received, which states that the principle of the proposed development is broadly acceptable in terms of general scale and form and layout, and it would respect the hierarchy of buildings on the site and with the logical evolution of the site's development. It goes on to state that the design of the development should be carefully considered. I do note that there's a concern about light spillage on an impact on the AMB from CPRE, but I have no overall objections to this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, any proposals?
Can we go, Ken?
I've read the, also note, well, there's been lots of plan applications there in the past. And amazingly, Rockville Grays have objected to every application over the last 20 years. And amazingly, this one, which is probably the biggest one, they supported it. And I think the owner of Bashmore Park is trying to find out why, what's going on with their system. But they fully support this one. I'm a bit concerned about the, I might let somebody else propose, but I was a bit concerned about the comments of the Henry Society, and I'm not sure what they were on last night. Because the Bashmore Park have their own borehole there, which they can get thousands of gallons of water out. So if they need to use some of the water in on the proposed swimming pool, I'm sure they could do. It's big enough to take that. And the other thing about the light spillage, which, you know, okay, it may well do. But there is light spillage there at the moment, but it's surrounded by trees on all four sides. So there is no spillage that goes outside the trees. In Bashmore's favour as well, they're probably one of the biggest companies that employees now in the town. And this extension will only need more people employed. So it has to be good in that respect. I think, yeah, it's good for the town. So I would be supportive of this application.
Now they fill the pond, might the borehole run out?
Snack hole number 18.
In the words of Fletcher from Polly, they've filled the pond with borehole. So what they can do is they can now fill the swimming pool from the pond. So that's the way they're going to do
Thank you
it.
for that clarification.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who's seconding? Okay, Councillor Romans, thank
Is that a
you.
proposal?
I'm
That's the weakest proposal I've ever heard in my life.
I was just making a comment. I haven't proposed anything.
Well,
Right,
no,
okay. Do you
sorry.
have a proposal,
No, I'm
Councillor
making
Roberts?
what Councillor Gavin.
I will propose.
Okay. Acceptance.
It's acceptable. It's
Thank you, you're
acceptable.
seconding, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Indoor swimming pool, is that open to the public or is it just for the club members?
Well, I would presume that it's, because it's a club, it would be open to members only, I would have thought, but that is kind of irrelevant to planning. Any other comments, observations? No, okay, let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, so let's move down to P21 S4749, and this is well, we're not quite sure if it's LDP, and I'll ask Jodie to clarify that in a moment. So it's Thames Farm, Reading Road. Jodie, would you like to speak to this, please?
Yeah, so we've had an email received from the planning officer at SADC, so I'll just read that out. This application seeks formal view from the council about whether the proposed groundworks require planning permission, and it's currently in with the registration team. In terms of the process to determine the application, the only matter that can be considered is whether the groundworks require planning permission. we do not consult those local residents on applications for local development certificates, as we cannot take into account residents' views on the impact of the development. It is purely a question for the council to confirm whether the development is lawful or not. So yeah, we don't have a legal opinion on that, so I would recommend we make no comment. Thank you.
Yes, councillor Gavin, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to disagree on this, that we can comment on planning matters. Is that correct?
It's about legally whether it needs
Yeah,
planning permission.
Well,
You can obviously comment, it's whether that will be considered or not. It's a
Yeah,
different thing.
well,
Yeah.
I will comment. This is on the agenda.
Can I just interject just for a minute?
Yes.
I received an email from the planning officer.
That's what I've just read out.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
but, and basically, yes, as I said, she hasn't made her mind up yet.
No.
It's going to need a plan application, and I think, you know, as we're going to say, Councillor Gavin, I think that's up to the town council. What we decide, or what we think is correct at this moment in time. So,
So I am going to propose refusal of this because I think it is a planning matter. I think when a planning development is approved, and it has, I mean, the houses have been approved, but the drainage has not been approved and the grouting of the land has not been approved. And I think this should be a planning matter. Normally, when a planning permission happens, like the three that we've just done, or cornerstones or whatever, it would be assumed that a building was going to go on ground with normal foundations. And this is, by no stretch of the imagination, normal foundations. It says proposed groundworks to stabilise the ground. So the ground is already wobbly, my words. Stabilise the areas of the site affected by dissolution of water, dissolving what's underneath. And this is major work. Part of the foundation work involves compacting, granting, surface ground, compaction. So this is basically pouring a load of concrete into the ground to actually stabilise the ground itself. Now, I think that is part of the plan, and I will want to message and actually say that because of this, this development should be stopped. I know that's just my comment and my view. And SODC have already made the planning permission. But the fact that this company are having to a major extent to get rid of the water and also to stabilise the foundations of these houses. It should not happen on a normal greenfield site. So therefore, I propose that we strongly write to SODC saying this should be a planning matter and we should refuse the planning on these grounds.
Thank you. Councillor Plant, are you wanting to second or are you
We'll just
commenting?
talk.
Are you seconding first?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Is anyone seconding?
I'll second it.
Thank you, councillor Clark. Yes, would you like to speak now?
Well, I completely understand Councillor Gavin saying, obviously, the fact that planning has been granted, that construction cannot commence until they fix the stability issues and drainage issues. So as part of both of those, surely they're going to come back with numerous lawful developments so that they can fix both of those. If they do not get these, then obviously the plan will not take place. But the whole part is whether they, many residential houses find out that they have to pile or something like that rather than actually use a normal foundation once they actually get to it. So I'm assuming they're going to come back with numerous such things that we shall consider. And the next one will be about drainage. This is just the first step in stabilising it so they can actually build.
The question for us to consider now, just to clarify, is whether it's lawful development or whether it needs planning permission. Let's not get too bogged down into the detail.
But then we already know that, thanks to Joe.
Yeah. So would any other councillor like to speak to this before we put it to the vote? Yes, councillor Clark.
SODC have given permission. Do they know about the ground situation before they give permission?
No.
Nobody did know. Any comments about this particular proposal or any other observations? No?
I'm
Yes,
just
Councillor
going to make
Roberts.
a couple of observations. I'm probably not going to vote on this because this could well finish up at SABC.
Indeed.
But I've been on planning committees for a long time. I've worked on building sites even longer, and I've never known anything like this before. This is an unbelievably bad piece of ground that Taylor Wimpey purchased. Do I feel sorry for them? Well, perhaps they should have looked into the ground and done a few tests, before they purchased the land. As Councillor Cabshat says, nice green site, perfect. I think the bigger concern, someone's mentioned 6,000 deliveries of concrete. I think that's just a pie in the sky figure. I think the bigger the problem is the drinking water that's under the site. I think there lies the problem, and that's what needs to be resolved. And that's why, if I was to vote on this, I think there lies the problem. I don't think you should just let this go through and not make a decision on it. Somewhere down the road, they need to come up with a scheme that they show is going to work. And so far from what I've seen, and I've had lots of documentation on it, they haven't come up with a scheme. The town council obviously paid for the document. We paid even more now to Shiplake, to another document there. And I can't see where Taylor Wimpey had come up with a solution to this. And I don't believe this seems to be the solution.
Nor is this intended to be. This doesn't talk about drainage at all.
Yeah.
I know, but it talks about all about the
Stabilisation.
Yeah, filling up all these holes. But what I'm saying here, it doesn't mention about the drinking water. How they're going to solve the drinking water.
No, but that's why I think they're going to have to come back with numerous such things. That's why I almost think we just.
Yeah, but that's what I'm just saying. This isn't a solution to the problem. You need a solution to everything. This is just, so we do a part here and a part there, maybe this, maybe that. But I don't think you can support that at this moment in time. I think it's too early.
Right, let's move on. Would you like to sum up?
Yes,
Okay.
I will on this occasion sum up. I respect everyone's views around the
Councillor
table.
Olive, are
Sorry.
you listening?
Yeah, every word.
I respect everyone's views around the table. The point with this is though that Councillor Clark actually says, well, if a householder gets a planning permission and subsequently they have to find out they have to dig the foundations, piles, whatever, then building control gets involved to do it. There's a difference between that, where you have to put a pile sort of another metre deep to actually stabilise the corner of the extension, and this is actually a whole site. This never happened at Highlands Farm. Highlands Farm have piled some of the apartment blocks that I've heard of them, and it's on stable ground. So they've had to punch through the chalk to actually stabilise it. My point is that had this been known in the first place, with 6,000 lorries of cement, with possible contamination of drinking water, with the possible drainage solution, I know we're in about would the planning commission have gone through? I think this kind of thing materially changes the lawful development of a planning permission.
I agree.
And we should certainly insist, I think, that SABC here is in front of the planning committee to actually go through it and ask, well, and the last comment, which is in a way what Councillor Arnold said, Taylor Wimpey should be asked to come back with a complete scheme, not doing it piecemeal, because it's almost sounds to me as though they're cherry picking. They're actually picking off the bits that they can do, and then they'll say, look, you've approved 6 of these. You should approve the difficult one down here. So anyway, that's my summing up. Sorry.
Councillor Plant, did you wish?
Just a quick question.
We have just summed up, so it's
More of a technicality.
okay.
Is it possible to pull an already approved planning application back in front of SODC? Or what would
No.
it take in order for that to be done?
That's not possible, is it?
No, what they're saying here, this information, or what we're doing, this information should have come forward at the planning stage.
Yeah.
And because this wasn't taken into consideration, although it was a condition, because nobody realised this was going to happen. And my view on from what I've read, that at that moment in time, if they had understood how bad the land was, they would have asked
I get it, I understand all
all this
that.
information to come through on how they're going to resolve it.
So none of those criteria can be satisfactorily met at any point. What happens? Surely that does render the whole planning application
Well,
valid.
You should do.
That's not
That
our
would-
problem.
That was
Sorry.
common sense,
But
but
it will be our problem if they just keep submitting another 32 of these LDPs in small little chunks every time. We're just going to be bogged down with this for years to come.
And if that's the way they are going to play it, then there's nothing we can do about it. Apart from say, no.
right. So let's just summarise. Let's just summarise the position then. We have a proposal that we are going to make strong representation to SODC, the planning authority, about this proposed technicality on whether it's lawful or whether it needs to go back to the planning commission. And of course, we want to make sure that it's the latter. Joe, did you feel that you've got enough points down there to be able to make that representation without one of us actually approving what you're saying to SODC? Would you like me to review it?
Yeah, you can review.
Okay, councillors, are you happy for me to review it on my own, or would you like one more councillor to review it?
No, I think there are two aspects.
Yes.
Commenting on the legality,
Yes.
we feel that it should be
Mm.
part of it should be part of the planning process.
Why don't we do this together?
But
The
it's
two of us
also-
both review it.
The second thing is it's also about the actuality of this. 6,000 lorry loads of cement being poured into the ground, which we should strongly object to as well.
Mm. Would you like to review this with
Yeah,
me?
sure.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favour? Okay, and we've got one abstain. Yeah, thank you. It's carried. Okay, let's go for P21 S4777. It's a household application and it's for Alfriston, 50 Berkshire Road. I have actually asked Jodie if she would speak to this for us.
Yeah, so this an application was approved for this last year, and that included the single-story side extension, front floor side extension. This is bringing that the first floor side extension closer to the boundary, and it's coming outwards to the front, so would impact on the neighbouring property, 48 Berkshire Road. I do know that several dwellings have enlargements of two single and two-story extensions to their dwellings.
Okay, thank you. Any proposals? Yes, councillor Arlott.
Yeah, I'm going to propose we object this. It's totally unneighbourly. It's amazing what's happened here because the plot actually was just an empty piece of garden at one time. A smaller house was built. I believe it's had an application since then. But this one, it's almost making what were three kind of detached houses, almost like a terrace now, the way they've all gone together. And it's totally changed the area. And I think this application is just one too many now. It's totally unneighbourly. I would also say, the bulk of it is not acceptable either. So, just on those two alone, I propose refusal.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Planter seconding. Would any other councillor like to speak?
I think it was interesting that one of the neighbours did say they had tried for a similar, I think it was maybe 48, had tried for a similar planning application before and had it unanimously turned down, and they had to pull it back a lot. And yet this property is trying for exactly the same as they kind of weren't allowed to get away with. And it will be very unneighbourly on them. So I think, as Ken hit, it's unneighbourly overdevelopment out of keeping with the streets.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak before we vote? No, okay, all those in favour of refusal? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, so the last one on this page is P21 S4825. It's a householder application and it's 9 Grange Road. Any proposals? Councillor Plant?
Approved.
Seconded. Councillor Gravishak, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Rowlett?
Yeah, I'm speaking against this actually. And as it was said, there's already a planned application for a roof light there. And now they've come back with this. This is almost like planning by stealth, you know. Let's get something smaller, let's build it bigger. I'll come up to this later on another application. And you know, to me, it's just one too many. And there we go. It's overdevelopment, unenabling. I just think if you allow this one, you know, the rest of that terrace will come in and want the same. But it's got planning permission for developers. Just go on and do your developers. I think it's just one stage too many personally. So I should be voting against this.
Okay, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, we've got a proposal for approval. It's been seconded, so all those in favour? That's two. All those against? Abstaining?
Undecided, that's brilliant.
Okay. Okay, so that's fallen. Okay, so would you like to come up with
Yeah,
another
I would
proposal?
propose a refusal on this. I think it's just whichever terms you want to use. It's unenabling, it's overdevelopment. And I think if you allow this one, as I say, other ones will follow.
It's a conservation area as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Reading Road conservation area?
that's the area. Yeah. So yeah, mainly overdevelopment now, unenabling. That would do it for me.
Okay, thank you. That's seconded by myself. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, all those in favour of refusal? That's, and all those against? Okay, that's carried, thank you.
Did we do
Did we
item?
miss the last one?
Yes.
We missed one.
Somebody
Yeah.
Oh, did we? Oh, beg
Yeah.
your pardon. Let's do that now then,
I normally
councillors.
do that. When I'm in a hurry.
Okay, so it's like taking my glasses on and off. I must get some proper glasses. Right, P21 S4780. It's a household application, 70 Marks Road. Yes, councillor Gabishak.
I propose acceptance.
Is that seconded? Councillor Plant, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. Right, over the page to page 12. And we have P21 S4926. It's a household application for 5 Grove Road. Councillors, any proposals? Yes, councillor Plant.
Approval.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval? And against? Abstaining? Thank you. That's carried. And the next is P21 S4953. It's a listed building application for Cafe Copia, 23 Market Place. And as this is listed building, Jodie will speak to this.
I have no objection subject to the conservation officer.
Thank you. Councillor Plant, on the proposal.
Yeah, approved.
Okay, is that seconded? Thank you. Are you happy with it to be subject to the conservation officer? Yeah. Is that seconded? Yes, thank you. Councillor Gavshak, would any other councillor like to speak? Yeah. Okay, all those in favour of approval subject to the conservation officer? Thank you, that's carried. And the next one is P21 S4972. It's a householder application and it's for 8 Norman Avenue. Councillor Plants?
Approval.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Gavshak, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, let's put this to the vote then. Those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. And the next one is P21 S4986. It's a household application for Byron House, 65 Elizabeth Road.
I'm just betting that Ken is the one that has the objection to this coming back.
That's all right.
Yeah, I have a problem in this as such that, I did mention before, planning by stealth, and this is another typical example. This property had a planning permission about 9 months ago, also on a ground floor extension, which eventually went to SODC and was approved. And I accept that decision, and we all moved on. And then 6 months later, we now have another plan application come in to build the first floor extension, which I find so strange. Why you'd want to, I was hoping actually some of the applicants going to be this evening would ask the question, but it seems a bit crazy, unless they know more than me, that you build a ground floor extension and then come in 6-9 months later with an application to build on the first floor over the single story extension. I can't get my head around that. Saying that again, that's fine. The biggest problem with this is, which I think we all know, this was one on appeal, this property, a number of years ago. One of the items mentioned that it shouldn't have any windows in the gable. And this was one of the reasons why it was refused here and went to SODC, because the inspector said no windows in the gable facing number 63. That was given planning permission for a window. Now, one would have thought, the applicant would have thought, well, I've got away with this one, let's leave it there. But no, they then come up with a proposed window on the first floor. So they're now proposing to build an extension, but also put a window into this gable. And I honestly can't get my head around it. I think they've done well to get planning permission there. I'm going to propose that we approve planning permission subject to the window on the drawing is removed. And if they refuse to do that, I think that's then down to SODC to look at this application and any town council as a refusal. So I propose approval subject to the window is taken out of the gable at the first floor level.
Taken out or obscured?
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant if it's obscured or plain glass. At the end of the day, the inspector said in his report, when he granted plan permission, no windows in the gable. It was as simple as that. It's there in black and white. And as I say, they've been granted permission for a ground floor window, and be it obscure, closed window, open window, whatever. I can only follow what the inspector has written. He's obviously written that for a reason. He hasn't just wasted his time putting that in his reasons when he granted approval to build that. So as I say, I'm proposing that we support the application subject to the window at first floor level is removed from the drawing.
Okay, is that seconded? Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Plant?
I completely understand the sentiment, but I just think in that area the horse bolted a long time ago. Like, just as one of the actual residents who's commented on the website, it's like all the houses around there have had almost identical extensions done, if not larger. And I think we're nitpicking over a window that not a single resident has even complained about the window being. It's not like we have, like we did previously at the application today, where someone's actually said, oh, that is going to provide a loss of privacy. Nobody has. Whoever is looked by that window hasn't said that they are. All the houses on Elizabeth Road, bar a few, will have huge raised extensions now. I think we're being overly pedantic about a window. I do think I understand, Ken. I think it's crazy that they just didn't put this in the planning application originally. But I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with the application.
Thank you. Right. Do we have a seconder? Yes, we had Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, let's put this to the vote.
Can I just sum up on?
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
As I said before, I've been on planning committees for a long time now. And the problem that you have with this and other applications at times, you know, if you start granting like items like this, you get a snowball effect. It just gets bigger and bigger, and then everybody thinks, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to put a window in my game. I know I shouldn't do it, but you know, he's done it down the road." And this is why these items like this need to be stopped before birth. They literally need to be stopped, because if it's stopped, we won't get another one come along similar. But you will only get similar applications come along because, and they will say, "Oh yeah, the people at number 65 will give a planning permission, so you know, why can't we?" And you will, you just open the doors. And that's what will happen. I've summed up.
You were
Okay,
probably on the
let's-
council when the first one got granted up there. Should have stopped it before
Right.
they started.
Let's go for a vote, councillors. So we have a motion for approval, subject to the window being removed from the drawings, yeah. And it's been seconded by councillor Clark. So let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? And all those against? I'm abstaining, so it's carried. Thank you.
Could be minuted. Well, it's minuted in the declaration.
So I'm just writing some notes from my minutes.
Actually, sorry, could
Yes.
it be minuted that I took no part in the vote?
Yes, we noted that at the start. As well. Right, so P21 S4991, it's a householder application for 20E Queen Street. Councillor Plant.
Approved.
Seconded. Councillor Arlett, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, all those in favour of approval. Thank you, that's carried. And the next one is P21 S5005. It's a householder application for 33 Kings Road. Councillor Plant.
Approval. This will just add to another dormer on my road.
Is it seconded? Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Yeah, I would briefly like to speak to that.
Okay.
I remember years ago, they wouldn't, and I've lived along that road for a while, and they're really well. But years ago, for some reason, they weren't allowing dormers to go at the rear of the houses there. And then someone got planning permission. And it's a domino effect again. And actually, I think they look quite good, along the dormers out there. But at least at the front, we've still got the Bellix roof lights. We haven't got dormers all the way along the front as well. So, yeah, I've no problem with this application.
Thank you. Okay, so would any other councillor like to speak? Hasn't spoken yet? Okay, let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. The next two I'll take together. We've got P21 S5006, householder application for Clare Cottage, 13 Northfield End, and P21 S5008, which is listed building consent. So we'll ask Jodie to speak to this.
Thank you. So, yeah, this is replacing the conservatory and orangery, single story, subservient to the main building. So I've got no objections. Thank you.
Thank you. Any proposals, councillors? Councillor Smart?
Approval subject to conservation.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Garishak, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Orangeries have become very popular. They're on applications a lot of them. Maybe I need one.
Wait for it to start at this price.
Okay, so we've got a motion for approval. It's been seconded. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Right, so let me just check my agenda to make sure I'm not missing anything. So we've done plans. Number 7, item number 7 is, do we have any objections, calling applications?
Yes. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Want me to call that?
Yes, please. Okay, yeah, let's take a vote just to be on the safe side. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. Yeah. You get that? I thought it was saying. Okay, so number 8 is decision notices, to note all of those granted and refused by the planning authority, pages 13 and page 14. Thank you. And number 9 is the appeal consultation, and this is just to note the appeal against refusal of a householder application.
Yeah,
And that's page 15 to 16.
yeah, I think it's a pity we can't write in and give reasons for the refusal. Because, you know, we're doing really well. You know, the last 11 appeals, we won 10. And to stop us putting our reasons in, is a bit much really. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
And there was actually another one, councillors, you received an email from, was it you or Kath, about the wall on St Mark's Road.
Yeah.
I'm presuming that none of us want to actually go revisit that and put in any observations, any different observations. No, I see none, thank you. Okay, let's move on then to, so that's number 9. Item 10, which is the Neighbourhood Plan Committee, and that's to consider the draft notes. I don't think there's anything to approve in those draft notes, so that's pages 17 to 22. Thank you. And for number 11, we've got the Climate Emergency 2030 Working Group on pages 23 to 24. So item 1 in that agenda item is to receive the draft notes. And then item 2 is to approve the Climate Emergency Working Group's recommendation that Sarah Candia be co-opted into the working group. We'll just take a vote on that. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. And then item 3 to approve the reallocation of £3,000 in Climate Emergency Working Group 21-22 budget from the grants for energy efficiency improvements to energy audits for community buildings. All those in favour? Thank you. And item number 12, which is community governance review, to consider the notifications of community governance review by SODC in 2022. I presume you've all had a chance to look at this and make any considerations. I can't think of any that we want to put forward, but do I have any differences of opinion on that? No? Okay, no representation then. And the next one is item 13, which is the progress report for applications called in on page 27. Councillor Arlott, would you like to speak to any of that at all?
Yeah, I think we were going to try and, in the new year, we'll try and move on with the Manor Care Home one. I think we need to push on. The plan officer, wish to speak on that.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
I did try and get a response and they just said the planning officer was still considering the application. Didn't really give me any details. So I can keep going with that.
I have got an update because of the order that's been laid out for the path that will take able to have residents walk again between Newtown Road and Mill Lane. The order has been made. Unfortunately, Hallmark do not agree with the order, and they would like an public inquiry. So therefore, the next stage is that OCC have to go back to the planning inspectorate to report that Hallmark will not comply with the order, and that is why this planning is being held up. Now, the reason that it hasn't been able to go back to the planning inspector yet is because the system is completely backed up because of COVID. They say they've got probably about 18 months worth of hearings that they have a backlog of, which is not a surprise really.
Did Zoom not work?
John, have the Rockland County Council asked Hallmark what their reasons are, what they don't agree with? Have you got anything in writing on that?
Yeah, we have got something in writing, and I'm happy to share it with councillors.
Okay. All right.
But essentially, what they're saying is, in a very, very condensed small line that it was a permitted path. And there's lots of nuance and lots of solicitors being paid lots of money.
Yeah.
And therein lies your problem. But also, I think, I mean, this is my hunch as well, is that they don't want to have to rebuild that big bin store that they put on the pavement.
Exactly.
So I think they're just trying to, you know, keep it going along. And yeah, any questions? You can always email me if you would like to see the letter, but I'll forward it to you, Councillor Arlett. You've already seen it, haven't you, Councillor Gafshak?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So,
That's why we can't get any movement on this one. Any other updates for that list?
I did second on 11 and 10 side, the appeal was refused.
Yeah.
There, which was an interesting one. They went to appeal before SODC came up with a decision on it, and eventually SODC would have recommended refusal against the officer recommendation for approval. I said that one. Anyway, a red line must be still on there. I'll check that one out. Railway station, nothing at all on the railway station. On the
So just sorry, just going back to this one on appeal, I found it interesting because it actually rested entirely, almost entirely on local plan policy. Did you read it the same way?
it did, but it went way back, 100 years as well. Like it mentioned the type of screws on the stairs, for instance.
Conservation matters, yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought the inspector on that was very thorough.
Mm.
In looking at the history of the building and the rebuild, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Done an excellent job on that one.
They take listed buildings and conservation areas extremely seriously.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, go ahead.
Other than Belmahar, to those who can't pronounce it properly. That's been given planning permission. They've started building up there, I'm told. 18 Harcourt Close has been refused again by SODC, so that can come up as well. Other than that, as it is.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the last item on the agenda item 14 is the progress report for this planning committee. Jodie, do you have any updates, or Kath, you're on the line there? Hi, Kath. Anything you want to update here? Kath?
No, there's nothing from me. I think everything was fed in the report already.
So you were the other bit. The outspoken.
Speak up, Kath. We can't hear
You've just woken up the whole of Henley.
Thank you, Kath. Right, okay, so no further updates on that one. Okay, then I declare the meeting closed. Many thanks for the contributions. I would actually just like to wish you all I do believe this is the very last meeting of this council this year.
Oh, what are we going to do next?
I'd like to wish you and all of the officers and residents of Henley a very, very happy Christmas.
What about the Henley Standard?
Oh yes, and the Henley Standard.